Hello, everyone. This is Mind Talk podcast, the thing that we do every single week. The weekly review is it for the day. And Nico, what happened in the week?
Actually, it was a normal, crazy week, like every week. And yeah,
Normal
what
crazy week.
normal crazy week? Yeah, lots of work in my case, and very nice classes, and also classes that seems to be a torture for everybody, for the students because they have to take the classes, and for the teachers like me that I have to, teach these unmotivated students or yeah. But I think we had this topic before, right?
Hmm.
I think we
How many
talked.
students do you have in a class?
It depends. It depends. I have classes with 40 students. At one university, I have like 41 students. And yeah, it's incredible. This class is actually my favorite class this semester because they're very active. They really want to learn German, and yeah, this is a really great class, even though there's so many students. But actually, the just I mean the classes, how to say, it doesn't actually matter. It matters a little bit how many people, how many students are in one class, but in general, if the students are motivated, if they want to learn, then also a class with 40 people works. And this,
Hmm.
my job to, to deal with it, to make lots of group work and partner work and make them speaking. And of course, in a group of 40 students, I cannot, listen to all the conversations and cannot assist everybody. But if you have a kind of atmosphere that they help each other and that they ask questions, then it's possible because then I can, focus on the students who need my help, and the rest of the group will just perform. And I sometimes have
Yeah.
classes with just like 8 people, and it's like you have to pull every word out of them, or they are looking at you and sensei, no, and then you ask a question and you don't get any reactions. And,
Yeah, that happens to
yeah,
me as well. Like I've
yeah.
been thinking about the authority as a teacher. Like I don't try to create any kind of like authority role for myself.
Mm.
But usually, in the end, students do think that I have more authority over them. Like even in the calligraphy course, like when I start speaking, even so quietly, I'm not even shouting, and they stop talking to each other and like listening so hard to me. Like not really because they're scared of me, but like just they take whatever I say as something important. So I just sometimes randomly say like completely useless things that are not no interest to anyone, just to check if they still care what I'm saying. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
but it's
interesting way of
yeah.
playing.
I thought it's a kind of Japanese phenomenon that the students don't
No,
speak. And I thought, because my
no.
experience when I went to, for example, to Spain to learn German, or when I remember when I was a student in class, everybody was speaking, and have everybody has to say something. Also, my Spanish class, and when I was in Madrid, okay, there were many also Italians. They like chatting anyway, but there was an American and another German, and I had a hard time to speak because they are always speaking, and the teacher didn't need to say anything because they were just talking. Yeah.
There's one
Maybe not.
student in my class who's like pretty, I don't know, she does take part in the course, but the thing is, I think she finds everything that we're doing essentially quite hard.
Mm,
I try to, in that case, my job is to to make the work a bit more easier. But
mm.
like it's a bit of struggle to try to figure out how to deal with it. And those students, when they're confused, they don't really talk that much. So even if you ask like what part do you not understand, they cannot really explain it. So that's kind of difficult once in a while.
Yeah, if you don't know what the problem is, it's difficult to help
Yeah.
them, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I, especially one university I work for, it's a kind of, I don't know if it's just a university or it's a kind of new trend that so many students seem to be mentally sick. I get so many how to call it from got from a doctor a document like a test that
Hmm.
they should notice that they have mental sickness, that they cannot concentrate, or that they sometimes cannot attend the classes because they have side effects of the medicine or they have depression. So there are every semester students like this, and yeah, and we as a university, actually as a teacher, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, um, we are left alone with this problem. It's like, yeah, you have to take care and you have to deal with it. Yeah, what? What should I do? You know, we have to grade them, we have to give them yeah, homework, and but if they don't attend the class, if they don't take part in a class, or if they just leave in the middle of the class and you don't know what happens with them, what can we do? I mean, this is a kind of big
But
problem,
can
and
you
uh,
do you maybe give some different time frame for the test, for example? For those people, you can extend the exam schedule,
yeah,
like for
but
60 minutes exam,
but
they
even
give
this doesn't work. There's one student in one of my class, and she's writing me every week. Yeah, I'm sorry. The first week could not attend the class, and then you write, yeah, but next week we can I repeat the test? I said, okay, once you're back in class, let's speak about how we can compensate it if you write a test again. And then she says, and the student sent me again an email. Ah, this week I cannot come any either. And then the next week is the same procedure. It's everything is the same. I haven't seen the student so far. So what can I do? There's already the next test coming. And yeah, in the end, the administration, the university administration, they maybe will send me an email. What happened with the students? It's hard to let them fail because I said, yes, they have a disease and I have to, yeah, take care about it. But how can I grade them? And it doesn't make any sense
Hmm.
to give any grade to these students. My opinion, my personal opinion is if the students are sick, that's, yeah, I'm very sorry for that. But then first they have to get healthy and fit again. If you are sick, you cannot work, right? You cannot go to work if you are sick. You have to first recover, and after recovered, you go back to work. And it's the same for this, yeah, for university students, I think. If they are not able to, yeah, properly follow the classes, attend the classes, do the homework, do the assignments, then they should pause, have a break, and work should come back later. But maybe this Japanese system doesn't allow it because then they lose one semester. I don't know. It's for me, it's a mess, and it's not only my problem, it's also the problem of others teachers that don't know what to do. And it feels a little bit more like a kindergarten. I have to write, yeah, please, could you come next and please be careful because you missed this test. And but I think at the university it should not be my job to run after the students to remind them that they have to, yeah, attend the classes or that they have to do their assignments. Well, don't you think so?
Hmm. It's
I,
complicated.
I,
I mean, I can totally understand from the teacher's side that it's kind of difficult when the students don't come or attend or they're passive for any reason. And we have to start with either motivating them or trying to understand their situation. But at the same time, I'm not too sure, like the way you said about if they should first take a full rest and then come back. I think it's quite difficult in the system, and that's quite problematic, probably.
but
And
but
also,
yeah. But
yeah.
the current situation is also doesn't work. I mean, I think it doesn't make any sense. And in real life, in real life, it doesn't work like this. Yeah. Colleagues that often t tell me, yeah, in Japan, people don't go to university to prepare for their later work or for later job. In university, they should be prepared for life. But what we do at university is the opposite of preparing them for life. Yeah. If you buy a ticket, a flight ticket or a train ticket, and you miss the train is gone. You don't get your money back. So, and it's the same everywhere else, right? if if this shop is closed and I come after the opening hours, I have to wait until the next day to go shopping again. There is no other way to do, right? And why is it at university different? It doesn't make any sense. Or I have like students, no, they come to me and say, Sensei, I forgot my no, my textbook. So I said, yeah. So what? Did you make a copy or did you find a solution for this? No. Yeah, yeah. Why do they tell me this? I'm not telling. What is their purpose of telling me this? So and then, or for example, I walk around the class and they do group work and they check their homework and they see students, for example, oh, where's your homework? Oh, Sensei, I forgot my textbook. Okay, okay. So did you make a copy? No. Okay, then please work together with your friend or with with your colleague and you make notes on a piece of paper. I'm sorry, I don't have paper. You don't have paper? Okay, then the other student says, okay, you can have a piece of paper from me. So, and I don't have a pen. What? They come to university, they don't have a book, they don't have a piece of paper, they don't have a pen. What are they doing at the university? If they come like this, what do they have? The cell phone. Oh, what? This is something I cannot understand. It's a university. It's not a elementary school. Um, and this happened quite often in Japan. That I have to tell them, please, once you come to the class, please bring something to write. It doesn't, I
Well,
don't
the
understand.
one problem I'm having at the moment with some of my students is that, like, when we're doing, for example, listening
Yeah.
tests or practice, and then some of my students say that, oh, it was too much text and I didn't understand too much. So
Hmm.
when I ask them what was the answer, what did you understand out of it? And they're like, oh, I already forgot what they were talking about. And some of my students come to me asking afterwards, like, is it okay if I take notes while I'm listening? And
Hmm.
that kind of happens to my students, especially from Germany, oftentimes, which is somehow interesting to me. Like in the class, they're listening and trying to understand the concept, which is like
Hmm.
kind of what I do as well. But they don't really take notes. They're not really used to it. So I'm also thinking about where to start with the situation. Like, should I explain that you can take notes whenever you want?
Hmm.
And this is the class for yourself. We have 60 minutes, 90 minutes once a week only. So take out as much as you can. Should
Hmm.
I explain from that? Or I'm not
But,
sure. I'm
but
not really,
is this a class they have to
I'm,
attend or is it a class they booked for, they pay for it?
they pay for it. They booked
And
me
that's
and my
strange to
class.
me. That's a little strange, right?
So
Because
it's kind
yeah.
of probably one way of learning, and I'm not sure if they're used to that here in university or from whatever background it is. But somehow they are not writing as much, and I'm not really too sure why. And I feel like it's kind of simple. It makes work easier when you write things down, but they don't really do that as
Hmm.
often as maybe I would expect. But yeah, that's definitely one thing that's occurring to my mind.
But this is kind of a different issue, I think. If you like make notes while this teacher is explaining something, or if you come to the class without any material, any preparation. You know what I mean? I also talked to one of the students who forgot the textbook, and I said, "Do you have a hobby?" And it was a guy. Yes, he said, "My hobby is swimming." I said, "Okay, imagine you go to the pool." And you don't have your swimsuit, your swimwear. What can you do? Can you go
Yeah,
to
because
the pool? Can you go to the
because
pool? He
learning
said,
at
and
the
then
university is nobody's hobby.
yeah, and he replied, no, no, I can go naked. Oh, you can go naked into the pool. I said, right? Is it really possible in Japan to go naked to the pool if you forgot your swimwear? I said, that's the same thing. I was like, yeah, if you play an instrument and you have like classes like violin classes, and you go to the violin class and said to your professor, oh, sorry, I forgot my violin at home. How can you attend a violin class if you don't have your violin with you? This is what I mean. Yeah, this not have making notes. I think it's a kind of different maybe phenomenon. Maybe they also take pictures, like taking pictures. No? I write something. Maybe they're too lazy to write things down. But that they, for me, it's a little strange that as university students, no, they should have learned that they bring something to write and a book and something like this. And I wonder if they do it in other classes, or if they just do it in my class because they don't take it so seriously because I'm not strict enough. I don't know. Or and I was yeah, asking myself, is, or maybe is it from the what's it called, the high school in Japan? But I think in high school they have to bring their stuff, right? They're quite strict, or aren't they? Or
The books and the notebooks and all those things, yes.
so why don't they do it at the university? Because they're not in high school anymore, or I'm not strict
Yeah,
enough?
kind of, it's way less strict in the uni, in Japan especially.
Hmm.
So maybe that has something to do with it. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
But I do get that kind of feeling where I think like is it just the methodical question where they
Hmm.
expect just communicating or anything else like input is the main thing rather than what well, writing actually is also part of input. But I'm
Hmm.
not sure. Sometimes there's a bit of conflict in myself where I think my expectation of my students is kind of different from what they expect from me. And sometimes
Hmm.
it's difficult to figure it out because what I think fundamental for the practice is like not really what they do from the beginning, from the
Hmm.
basis. So
I mean,
it's
if
kind of
they
interesting, but
yeah, if they find a good way, like learning like this, I think it's fine, right?
but I also do get like a lot of students who say I couldn't do my homework this week
Hmm.
because I was too busy, and I
Hmm.
usually get that every single week. And then I start thinking like if it even makes sense to give homeworks, but it
Hmm.
just doesn't really work out without any homeworks if you're trying to learn a language that's so different from your own. So I'm still
Hmm.
thinking like what kind of methods I can bring.
I think I can deal with it if I don't have time for the whole work, yeah? But I think is especially at one university I work for, their measure is German language studies. It's their measure. They have
Hmm.
almost every week they have German classes. They have so much as it's their measure, and it's a concept of this curriculum. It's also by the faculty that they have to do homework. So it's mandatory. It's not like at the Goethe Institute where I used to work, where the students they pay for their classes, and it's for some it's leisure, for some it's because they want to prepare going abroad or something like this, and they pay for it, and it's part of a curriculum that they have to do homework at one university. They say the same um, amount of homework like one class. So it means if the class is 100 minutes, they have 100 minutes homework. No? If it's 200 minutes at one class, at one university, I have 200 minutes every week. They get actually 200 minutes homework. And yeah, in this case, I think it's a little bit different to other people who booked the class and then maybe they're working and they really don't have time for that. No, okay, then you can ask why they do this because it's not so efficient anymore, right?
Hmm.
But I think it's a little bit different to university students who chose this subject and it's their measure.
Yeah.
But it's
So as
also
a
I just
student
yeah. Mm,
myself, I think I can
mm,
say that, well, whether in Hungary or in Germany or in Japan or wherever else,
mm,
I tend to see that students don't really start measuring in one thing because they're so keenly
mm,
interested in that topic, or rather they usually kind of very passive and they're
mm,
not really starting things because they're interested, but just like they don't have any other choice that's more interesting to them.
mhm,
And it's kind of sad to see. I really love my generation. Like they're super funny and they use technology to make fun of every useless thing sometimes.
mm,
And it's fun to be talking to them. But also like they have a lot of I don't know, a mental situation as well where they don't feel secure enough or they feel insecure about this and that and stuff.
Mm,
And they don't really think if they really want to do certain thing that they're doing or not. They just start doing. But because they don't have like too much interest for that or too much reason to do it, too much passion in that, it just feels quite empty when you're at the university nowadays. And then everybody's just joining the class or not, and just waiting for themselves to get a diploma, the
mm.
the certificate. And yeah, nobody's actually interested in doing things that they're actually doing. So
But
I don't know
I
what to
don't,
say in that.
but why? Because you said because just they don't have anything more interesting they do something. This doesn't make sense to me. For example, like a
Yeah.
calligraphy class, no? I mean, I would never ever book a calligraphy class if I'm not interested in calligraphy. You know what I mean?
But
Because
university
I'm
is just different. When you're
university is
learning
different, yeah.
things like privately, my course, for example, but university
Yeah.
still kind of feels like somehow mandatory when you're
Are you
like
just
moving
okay?
to the next step, like finding job and stuff. But it's not necessarily always important what you're actually learning. So maybe just to get a certificate for the next step for the
Okay.
future
Yes.
job, so
You're
I can
speaking about
find like better
mm.
salary job.
Okay, okay. Yes, you're not speaking about your private classes. You're speaking about your university students.
Yeah, as a
Yeah,
student
yeah,
myself,
yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
around me.
Yeah, and it's like, and especially in Japan, it seems to be a quite strange system because I also asked some of my students at one university, why did you choose German language studies? And they said, yeah, because that was a test I could
There's
pass.
nothing else.
No, no. That was the only test they could pass and they could get into. And said, what did you like to do? Actually, I wanted to study English language studies, but it was too difficult and they couldn't pass the test. And so they ended up with German. How sad is this? I mean, no? And once they
Yeah,
have
but I think it's
decided,
not unique to Japan. It's basically the same as when a certain class for a certain language is overbooked and you have to choose another class, which happens everywhere. So you're not necessarily motivated when you're studying a course.
yeah, but in Germany, as long as far as I know, and maybe it has changed, but in the past was like this. Yeah, people, for example, wanted to study, I don't know, something like law or something like this. I couldn't get in because the grades were not good enough, and they had to wait. And they started something else, for example, like economics. And because they thought maybe it's fine, it's interesting to study economics. And they find out, oh, economics is quite difficult because there's so much math, and they didn't expect dealing with so much math, and they find it totally boring and too difficult. But then they changed again. And they said, okay, after some one semester,
Mhm.
that's not my subject, I change it. But in Japan, seems like they cannot change anymore. That's
Yeah, that's true. It's quite complicated over there.
So once they have decided for this subject and they just came into this subject randomly because it was a test they passed, it looks like they cannot change anymore. And this
Hmm.
is a
Yeah,
pity. Mm, yeah.
it's not really flexible in Japan. Like in
Mm,
Germany, you could change the course or the
mm,
university quite easily once you get in, but you don't really feel like continuing it and you realize that it's not really my thing, then it's quite easy to
mm,
change the course. But I don't think it's really easy at all in Japan.
mm. But this is a kind of torture for some students, right? Because they
Yeah.
have to
And
do it
also part
four
of the
years.
social pressure. Like once you
Yeah.
start thing, you have to finish it quickly. Like one
Mm,
year, 2 years delay would look bad,
mm.
generally speaking.
Yeah, especially with language is also quite difficult because I don't know, I cannot really compare with other subjects, but for sure for language studies, if you don't put effort from the first semester, you will get behind and it will be just like kind of torture, right? Especially if you
Mm.
learn the language from the scratch, like my students do from in German. No? They start with zero, and in the first semester, if they don't um, go well with it and don't study and then they get behind and they will struggle the whole study actually until they graduate.
Mm.
They get behind and they cannot catch up anymore because they go on, they go on, go on, go on, and then they have to attend other classes and yeah, it's really a nightmare for these people because they have to go through it for 4 years. Yeah, this is a little bit. I mean, for German, like language study students, no? I mean, if it's just
Yeah.
a subject they do just because they study something else, a major or something else, then maybe it's not a big issue. But at one university, for example, like I think when with Karina, when we had our podcast with Karina, there's one university where they also learn German in the high school, and then they enter the university, and they have to continue if they choose the subject, and then they are forced to do a certain amount of semesters. I don't know how many, but maybe 1 or 2 semesters. They have to do it, even though if they don't like it. It's just because they chose it in high school and they had to continue something. That's another problem, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
It's definitely
And
the
as
case that in Japan they don't have too much breathing space, which is
mm,
quite sad.
mm,
Like once you start doing something, or
mm,
not even about starting something, but like you need to be as like finishing as quickly as possible. So it's kind of the reason why I'm not in Japan right now.
so yeah, yeah, and yeah, but you're happy with your decision, or
Yeah, for sure. And I'm actually taking things like slower and slower. Like I have a bunch of things that I'm starting and also continuing as well.
mm,
But it's not really, I don't know, seeing an end like the Japanese people would expect.
mm.
And I'm probably annoying a lot of people around me with that, and I'm enjoying that. But yeah, I'm a completely different kind of person in that sense.
Watch out, maybe your mom is listening.
Definitely, she is. Maybe my dad as well. But I don't think I have too much trouble in my family for that. Like they're
Yeah.
used to it. Like from the moment when I came to Europe, I was like, no, I'm just going whatever you say. I was just too adamant. I didn't even explain why I actually wanted to come to Europe. I just kept saying like,
Mm,
I'm going, I'm going, I'm going. And at some point, my parents would be like, I cannot convince her. She just
mm.
do whatever she wants. So
Yeah, but I think you're very
yes,
lucky that your parents give you the freedom. I can imagine that some
yeah, sure.
families they really expect their kids to go straight to the system to get a job and because also the university in Germany and in Japan cost lots of money, right? And
Hmm.
in
Yeah.
Germany, of course, life also costs, and you also have to buy books and have to pay some administration fees, but it's not comparable to Japan or to I don't know, UK or the US, where you have to pay so much money for the university. And I can kind of understand, especially if they have like 2 or 3 kids, no? And they
Hmm.
will all want them to go to university. That's another thing I don't understand. Why do I have has everybody go to the university? I mean, it's not everybody, but in Japan, many, many, many students. That's why there are so many universities in Tokyo and or in Japan in general. I think in just in Tokyo, much more universities than in whole Germany, right? Yeah,
Yeah. It's
that's
just way harder in Japan to find any job opportunity without any degree. So it's kind of a
mm.
bad system. I don't really like it either.
Actually, yeah, I think it's a different system. Actually, I don't know if it's such a bad system because in Japan, actually, it doesn't matter what you studied, right? You can study music and can work in a bank afterwards. I'm not a fan of it because I think the university should prepare for the later job. But the good thing is that you can try out something else. You can do something else. If, for example, if you made the wrong decision, for example, like some of my students, they said, "Yeah, I have to finish or I have to continue my German literature or my more German language studies, even though they don't like it." But it's not the end of their work life. Or I mean, it's not a catastrophe. It's not a disaster because after that they have got the grade. they can do a job yeah, they would like to. Yeah, it's not like in
Mm,
Germany, if you don't study finance or banking, you are not able to work in a bank, for example, in Germany. So you have to study
yeah,
something else,
but
right?
that's the point. That's the point where I mean the opposite, where like I would say it doesn't really matter whatever you're studying, as long as the most important in Japan would be the name of the university. It should be
Mm,
preferably in a higher standard, higher level. But otherwise, whatever you study just doesn't really matter. Like later on,
mm,
when you're looking for a job and you have it on the CV, like this and that university, Tokyo University, the top, the best in Japan, would be fine. And then people would be satisfied with it and like, okay, you're graduated from Tokyo Uni, then you're good to go. I would love to
mm.
have you because it basically means you're clever or anything that they're
Yeah, but
expecting. But it
but
doesn't
the
matter
reality is,
what they
yeah,
study.
but the reality is different, right? I also work for universities that have a quite good reputation, and I must say, the name of a university is not a guarantee for clever,
Hmm.
hardworking
Nowadays, not
students.
anymore.
I don't know, maybe in the past, but yeah, maybe not anymore. I mean, that this is also a strange system to me. I mean, I think because the name of
Yeah.
university. Mm, yeah, that's a kind of pity because yeah, I think the young people are the future of the country, and
Hmm.
if they give them the right soil to grow, um, yeah, how could they or how can they push the country forward, you know, to be innovative, creative, to create something new? If yeah,
Hmm.
if they are sticked or if they are captured in such a system, cannot break
Yeah.
out, or it's difficult to break out, or once you break out, you are out. um, yeah, it's really
Yeah.
really hard.
It just the younger people in Japan are basically the ones who get the mostly the social pressure or any kind of pressure from the older generations.
Mm,
Like they have to become as respected as they are at the moment, the older
mm,
generation. I mean,
mm,
so I don't know. Yeah. So it's
mm,
not much about freedom or anything that they want to do, but in the way, there's always a specific direction they are supposed to be growing up to
mm,
become. So it's kind of hard to
mm,
think. Like it's not
yeah, but
about
actually
freedom.
to be successful, I mean, or if have a look at the world, the successful and yeah, the people who made it are the people who sticked out, who went a different way, right?
Yeah.
So and in economies or in countries where they have the freedom to go another way, they have the famous companies, they have the good technologies, they have huh? They make a difference to the world. Huh? Look at Singapore. Singapore is famous for that. Or US. Yeah, of course, there are many bad things you can say about US, also about the education system. But see that what's the reality, in US? And all the technology, the new ideas, not all, but most of them, they come from a country where they have the freedom to try them out, to do something different, to change. No? um, and look at countries where they don't have the freedom, you don't see so much. Yeah. Look at also Germany. I mean, okay, Germany, we have the freedom to study whatever you want, and but in the end, I don't know if there's so much freedom, no? Also for companies, no? So the tax system and the regulations and um, it's no to get
I
also
mean,
to gain capital, the education systems
yeah,
in
freedom
Germany.
from tax doesn't really sound great, but at least I know what you mean. I'm just messing around.
Yeah, but it's also too much regulated also in Germany, and the education system is public financed uh, by the society, no? By taxes. Um, but you see how it's working, not really well, right? In Germany.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
sometimes,
hard to find the kind of right, I don't know, solution, but Japan is definitely not great in that sense. Like you get
mm,
expected a lot of things and you're supposed to do exactly that way. And although people sometimes say like you have to stand out, they don't really mean it because the system breaks you when you actually do stand out.
mm,
So there's a lot of issues with that. And
but
I
but
don't
I
have
think
the solution.
but I think even in Japan you can break out because look also at the famous and successful people in Japan. They are people who broke out, right? And in Japan, I think it's possible. It's possible to do something else. If you have a good idea in Japan, I think it's easier to try it out. And I see some people also where I live. I live in Fujino here around. And this is like also a village or village, yeah, kind of village, where they also have like art and arts cafes and interesting like music cafes and lots of things. People try them out. We have a little bakery here to just try it out, and they make it somehow, and they're very successful with that. Um, I think it's possible. Maybe it's also kind of mindset, no? The young people, no, that they, no, they have to, yeah, to follow what their parents say, and they say, okay, please go to university to get a job, no? And they see maybe the parents, no, like working every day and working hard for their life, and they also have this kind of um not really dreams. I don't have dreams anymore, the young people here. But if I ask them, what you would like to achieve in life, and first of all, they say, oh, I don't know, I don't have any goals. No? But if you ask a little more, but you don't have anything you would like to do, no, or would like to have, and then the first thing is always, I want to earn lots of money and I want to buy a house or a mansion, like an apartment, something like this. No? And this is something I feel it's like planted in their brain, to being successful means you have a safe job and have bought a mansion and maybe have kids and a car or something like this.
Yeah.
It
So
feels for me like they
capitalistic.
just yeah, it sounds to me like they're repeating things they got taught by their environment, by their parents
I mean,
and
it is true. That is true.
mm,
Like, it's not even just in Japan. People repeat
mm,
what they grow up with a lot of the times,
mm,
but
mm,
what they get exposed to is the problem. So it would
mm,
be great to get that better, that in order, not in order, but just the
mm,
break sort of the system, the conservative style.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, it's to my mind, if once you are young, it's easier to try out yourself and try new things. And even if you fail, you still have lots of time or enough time to start again, to try something out, something new out, or no? So to do it differently. I mean, once you're settled down, you have your family, you have bought your apartment and maybe took a loan for it. Then it's difficult to change because you have responsibility for your family, right? But especially young people, students, it's just the world is still open to them, and they can, yeah. And I'm sure even if university students after graduation in Japan they have a break for 1 year and travel around the world, I'm sure they're gonna find a job later. I'm sure.
In Japan, it's
Maybe,
difficult.
yeah, but maybe.
Because they're always looking for shinsotu, which is like the students who are right away graduating from unis, and it's actually quite hard when you get experience from outside, from like abroad, and then you come to the company. I've been talking to some of my friends as well, and they told me that they don't really want anyone with new insight who can
Yeah, but
potentially criticize the system.
I think it's also, I think it's partly it's true. There are companies like this, but I also think it's a kind also of mythos. Ne? Because there are also companies who
Mm.
need people who have experience, and especially right now in this with this
Yeah, but
demographic
not a lot
change.
yet.
Yeah, but this is the point. But if you want to do what everybody does, then you will end up like this. But if you do it differently, there the competition is also not so
Hmm.
so tight. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's true. That's definitely
No?
true.
So that's why I would like to encourage the young people, if they have a dream or if they have something they would like to try out, they should do it like you do. No? And maybe it takes more time, but I think it's a better way than just ending up in a like in a hamster wheel, you know?
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
it's better to break out, and I think it's also possible in Japan. And if it's not, uh, I think it's maybe maybe right. It's not easy, but they're gonna find the company. And if there's is a company who says no, we just want the freshmen from universities, maybe it's also not the right company. If your
Hmm.
mindset is different, I think, and you should better not work
Yeah.
in this company, I think. Yeah,
Hmm.
and if you, once you are young, you don't need so much. I mean, if you wait 1 or 2 years, maybe for your parents, it's their parents also have to understand this kind of situation. But if you're just single and still live with your parents no, in your house of your parents, what's the problem? I mean, it's not a financial risk. Yeah, there's no responsibility so far. I think can be possible also in Japan. And yeah, and for those people also going abroad is also an option. And with a demographic change, I'm sure in future the companies they cannot choose easily anymore. Maybe just the young people choose their company, huh?
Hmm.
Because the baby boomer they're all gonna retire soon. And yeah, I think would be a big problem. Huh? They all retire,
Yeah.
and who will do the work? Huh? I mean, they need young
Yeah.
people, and I think they have to offer something to them. And maybe if you're a little bit different, if you're yeah creative and not just following going through the normal path to the system, maybe you can make it. I'm quite sure. So I want to
I
encourage all
remember,
to yeah, sorry.
yeah. I remember one Hungarian singer who was like a lot in different radios, different
Mm.
podcasts, and he he talked to the younger people as a message, like don't be scared of the older people, they're gonna die at some point anyways.
Yeah, you're right. Right.
It's not very nice. It's partially true, but like that kind of mindset, which is, I don't know, not great. I'm gonna be banned from Japan for saying this,
Yeah,
but like,
yeah, but maybe I can take something of it or out of it and change it a little bit to don't listen too much to the older generations because you have to deal with your own life. They don't work in
yeah.
your job. No? They don't have to live with the consequences. No? The
Hmm.
consequence you have to live with by your on your own on the consequences. So means
Yeah.
if for the young people who are listening now, no? Please questionnaire and things and rethink. Yeah? Even if your parents say, "Yeah, you should become a civil servant. It's a safe job." Reflect: Is this something you really want? Even if
Yeah.
your parents say something like this, they don't have to go to work every day to go to commute in a crowded train and have to do the boring job. If you like it, if it's once what you want to do it. Huh? If you don't like it,
Yeah.
find something else, maybe try something else, and yeah, maybe speak with your parents. Maybe they will understand. Maybe they are in the same situation. Maybe they just suggest doing this because it was their own way, no? Or how they did. And then, yeah, questionnaire. Are they happy with the situation? No? And
Yeah.
why they are like suggesting something like this? Because they're just afraid, no? That because they want the best for the children, or is it because they're really convinced this is a good thing to do to work as a civil servant in the city hall? Um, this is my
Yeah.
message
As
to the young people. You know.
as someone from the younger generation myself, I could say You cannot really avoid taking risks, and if you're going
Yeah,
different direction, you're definitely taking bunch of risks.
yes,
That's gonna from like some days you're gonna feel a lot of pressure out of it. But I mean, you're not gonna die. You're not very likely not to die because of it. So you can stick
yeah,
around with it. And in the end, I think you likely be happier with like taking that risk for yourself
I'm
than
sure, I'm sure. And what is the in the
getting
worst
pushed.
case? In worst case, you fail with the way you have decided for. But it's not lost time. I mean, you learned a lot, right? You got experiences, and maybe you got to know yourself much better than before. No?
Yeah. And it's
I,
always great to find a place for yourself where you can use like maximize the use of the experience you've had so far or you
mm,
wishing to gain as well,
mm,
but not really following this way or that way because this is something you're supposed to be doing, but like maximize whatever you can, your ability, your skill. This is
mm,
probably one of the better options that you can have.
yeah. And for first of all, maybe also first find out your the skills. That's also a problem of many people. I think they don't even really know what they
Mhm.
are good at, and you know. But it's something you can only find out if you try out. I mean, no,
Yeah,
yeah.
very
I also
great.
asked.
So I
I
think
also, yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
no, go ahead.
No, I just had a conversation like this also with in one class of my students, no, and I was like kind of philosophic a conversation, and I told them, please think what you like, what are you good at, and maybe next, besides to your study, you can focus on this. For example, if you like making YouTube videos, then just open like we did, like a YouTube channel and try it out. There's no risk. No? You study, of course, you finish your study, no, as planned, but maybe you're successful also with your YouTube channel. Or if you do something else, maybe you do some handicraft or something, or you can cook very well, no? Then maybe you can you can focus on this later or at the same time. Now, right now you study, but you maybe you give cooking classes or you cook something and sell it maybe in a cafe or something like this. There's so many ways. You don't need to break up everything right now and say no, I quit my study, my university, and do completely something different. Of course, this is a higher risk, no? But maybe many people they already have something or yeah, that they could do or they do anyway because it's their hobby. No? And maybe your hobby will becomes your 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 later job or your later business, I think. Yeah, and
Mhm.
that's why, yeah, I try to
Yeah.
encourage also, no, my students to at least to reflect. No, to reflect what I'm doing here. Is this really what I want? Where I really want to go? Of course, nobody knows what will happen in 10 years and what will be my dream job or something like this. But to at least to reflect, is this really what I want? Is this a way I chose, or is this a way that somebody chose for me? Mhm. And wouldn't it be better to decide by myself? Uh, And of course, it takes you need some power for it. Maybe sometimes you even have to fight for your goals. But I think in the end it's worth it, even though if it
Mhm.
doesn't work out eventually. But because you learn
Yeah,
something, you get
I
stronger.
say worth it if you because you can like if you try to find some ways to take advantage of whatever you've experienced or
Mm,
the way you failed. And there are a lot, way more ways to like get use of the things that you have gone through
mm.
than you think. So, oh, my camera is dying.
Oh yeah, you are now frozen.
1 second. I can
Yeah,
just switch it to the PC
but
camera.
but it froze in a kind of yeah. It was a nice picture. It was not a bad one. Sometimes it's frozen like this or no good.
Yeah,
But it was quite
yeah.
nice. Quite nice picture. Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Here
yeah,
we go
quite.
again, trying to solve problems of other people from the outside. But
Mm.
yeah, that was the weekly review for
The weekly
ourselves.
review, yeah, but it was more like a
Yeah,
yeah, a
for
philosophy,
life review.
if yeah, for life review, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, and guys, if you have a comment or some experiences with that, or yeah, or if you disagree with us, write it in the comments.
Mhm.
We don't have any comments so far, right? Some people watching, they
One
don't
time
comment.
somebody wrote hello, and that
Yeah,
was super
hello.
sweet. So
Yeah,
I
very
answered hello.
yeah, very thank you for hello, but please write a little more.
Yeah,
No?
please feel free to.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you have any requests you would like us to talk about or to discuss, or yeah, please write it in a comment, send us an email as you
Yeah,
like.
come to the podcast, discuss with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, that's a good idea, right? If you want to be in the podcast, maybe it's a beginning of your career. Imagine you become a podcast star.
Yes, imagine starting off by joining a podcast program of 32 subscribers. That would be great.
Hmm. Yeah. Imagine 33 subscribers. Wow. Yeah, and we can do it in any language you like. If you're much
Yeah,
more familiar, it doesn't
as
need to be in
long,
English, can be in your mother tongue, as long as we
yeah,
speak
as
this
long as we can
language.
speak it. Exactly.
Yeah, but no problem. We have Aki, and Aki, she can
I
speak
have
almost
more or less
all
eight
languages.
choices, so please
So
try me out.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, and again, thank you,
Okay.
Aki, for all the technical arrangement. For we don't cut the video, but you do the you make the was this a thumbnail, right? And you upload it,
Yeah.
and yeah, thank you so much. That's a yeah, great help. I'm just chatting, and Aki is doing all the work
Yes, behind the scenes, BTS.
behind the scenes, yeah, the
Cool.
backstage.
Then, yeah, that was it for the day. And thank you so much if you managed to listen till the end, watch till the end. And see you next time.
Yeah,
Goodbye. Bye bye.
bye.